And I think this is the last section or next to last, foreign students and the risks surrounding optional practical training. They put a lot of focus on this about, people from China coming in and come inspire membership, stealing information. I'm not really focused on that. It's more of the practical aspect for us, which is foreign students in the US, which there are over 1 million annually. So there's 1 million students coming in annually on student visas, probably decreased with Trump and stuff. But the percentage of all foreign students in the United States who participated in OPT in 2018, as indicated by ICE records, is more than 20%. So of those million that are here, it seems that I might not be doing the stats apple for apple, but 20% of them are doing OPT. So it's a big population. Their stats here is a huge jump. So like in 2007, there's only 2 STEM OPT people. In 2008, it's 2,000. Now there's almost 70,000. In 2007, there was 25,000 OPT. Now there's 145,000 people OPT. So it's a huge program. It is alleged and is the subject of current litigation that employers are attracted to hiring OPT students by tax incentives aligned to the status of the students. We state no position on the litigation, but note that non-resident foreign students are exempt from U.S. Social Security and Medicare taxes on wages paid for services performed within the United States, as long as such services are allowed by USCIS and are performed and carried out. So because these foreign students don't have to pay those, the employer doesn't have to pay those extra fees for how they pay half the Social Security and Medicare taxes. So that's why. Now, the top 2 countries by total number of active students and exchange visitors and CVIS records in 2018 were China, 478,732, and India, 251,000. Post-secondary students from China and India represent more than 50% of the total international student population of over 1 million. And as you know, the visa bulletin charge for employment base are backlogged primarily for India and China. And so it's all these students that are here on OPT, later on get H-1Bs and then the like. The National Science Foundation data on trends in doctorates in science and engineering fields demonstrates that of the 55,190 doctorate recipients in 2018, 17,124 were given to temporary visa holders. Over 1/3, 6,182 of those were from China, which is consistently the top country from which doctoral degree candidates originate. So let's say 55,000 doctoral degrees, 17,000 are temporary visa holders. Let me try to do some bad math. 1734, that's 68. So it's something less than probably 20% of our doctorates are going to foreign students. So China is the biggest one, then India, South Korea, Iran, and Taiwan. I can't say Iran because Iran I can't pronounce it wrong because Iran. I got to say Iran. But that's interesting. India, South Korea, Iran, and Taiwan. East Asia, South Asia are dominating the doctoral fields. And so that's an interesting stat to see there. Place of origin of most of the student visas, though, are China first, India, then South Korea, Saudi Arabia, and 5th, Canada. They have a list of, let me make a screenshot of this interesting list of the stats of the top 25 locations. But yeah, it's interesting to see Saudi Arabia as number 4. They pay for the education. I remember when I was going to UCLA, there were a lot of Saudi students. Apparently, the Saudi government, all that gas money, they're paid for the student tuition. Both SEVP and DSOs are leanly staffed and yet have a significant set of responsibilities. ICE indicated in January 2020 that for the approximately 9,000 certified schools, K through 12 and universities, divided into approximately 60 regions, there's roughly 1 representative for each region. So that's 1 person dealing with all that from the government side. In 2019, approximately 10% of the Ombudsman's public engagements involve school-related stakeholders engaging with hundreds of DSOs across the country. DSOs also say that they are called upon, DSOs are designated school officials. These are the foreign international section of the schools that deal with the foreign students. They are called upon to explain the intricacies of immigration regulations to CVIS staff who may not have worked directly with international students. So the DSOs have to explain to the CVIS staff what's going on. And DSOs experienced a relatively high rate of turnover. DSO noted a rate of 37% turnover in 2020 when fewer foreign students. So, I've on LinkedIn, I've met some really good DSOs that are putting out good information. They really want to study and know this stuff, but I've met a lot of bad DSOs, unfortunately, that do horrible stuff and ruin their students' lives. So that high turnover shows as it is. Learning what's going on in the student visa program is so difficult. If they have high turnover, that institutional knowledge is going to disappear a lot. In fiscal year 2018, 3.37% stayed beyond their authorized window of departure of the students. At the end of the program, a total of 68,593 students. Broken down, 3.5% were F visa category, while 10% were M visas and 3.8% were J visas. The countries with the largest number of overstays were China with 12,900, India 5,000, and Saudi Arabia with 3,917. While the percentages of all foreign students who overstay is relatively small, the cumulative numbers are significant. Yeah, when you think there's 1 million students here and 68,000 of them, I mean, it adds up. It adds up. Okay, so one of the observations Ombudsman put forward, this is a frustrating part because when you're going to get OPT, you're going to request an EAD with Form I-765. They say adjudication delays was a very short amount of time. One of the observations the Ombudsman put forward in the context of Form I-765 adjudication delays was a very short amount of time USCIS spends looking at such applications, which recently was confirmed by the agency. USCIS has determined the average hours per adjudication of this benefit, meaning the time an employee with an adjudicative responsibility actually handles the case, is 0.2 of 1 hour or 12 minutes. So it takes 12 minutes to review an I-765 for an EAD, yet we have to wait 6 to 8 months for like an adjustment of status EAD, and OPT EADs went from being like 2 weeks to 2 months. I mean, what's going on? 12 minutes? I mean, how much are they getting large numbers of it? What's going on? They don't say the stats, but it's frustrating. In June 2018, DOS announced it would restrict visas for Chinese graduate students studying in sensitive research fields to 1 year while permitting annual renewals, but DOS has not identified exactly which disciplines are subject to this higher level of security. So then they go on to a lot of the security kind of stuff's the focus of this report, which I'm not going to go over.